Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we got the number one bad guy in the world again. We're the guys. We're knocking down bad guys. Number one bad guy. And if you think that I'm exaggerating, that's literally one of the headlines over at CNBC. America just took down the world's number one bad guy, and there's like a thread on it. I mean, if you look at Sarah Abdallah, and I should get her on, or try at least, because she has a great Twitter following. She has great insight. He's the guy that led the counter-terrorism campaigns against ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Iraq and Syria and Lebanon. Okay? He's the one that helped prevent the jihadist takeover of the Middle East. You know how the Iranians were our allies in there? Because they also didn't want that to bleed into their country, because what it really was a destabilizing force that WikiLeaks outed as, created by the United States. Is that very hard for you to understand? Assad understands it. He's giving long-form interviews discussing it. We've covered it here. But no. We're not allowed to talk about these things. Now, to kick things off here, I really want this timeline, because it needs to be said. On the 27th of December, we got our fourth leak from WikiLeaks. Again, WikiLeaks, almost a complete media blackout on Julian Assange alone, but a complete Western media blackout essentially on these OPCW docs. So much so that Tariq Hadid from Newsweek needed to leave. He needed to resign because they would not let him report on this. This all coincides with the fact that the reason we're in Syria in the first place is to take out Assad, not to battle terrorism like we said. That's all nonsense. Project Timber Sycamore shows that we were the ones that, quote-unquote, armed the rebels, al-Nusra, the Al-Qaeda, the ISIS. All right? So these come out. And remember, the Trump administration has never talked about this. Instead, you got Bilderberg Garuski, Pompeo here. This guy, okay? Basically talking about those limpet attacks. Now, we know about the false flag in Syria. There's no way there could have been, false flags during those Iranian drone things that were heating up, right? And we need to bring up Pompeo, because here's a guy that was the head of the CIA. Look at this guy. The French are just wrong. Mike Pompeo slaps aside warnings that killing Qasem Soleimani makes the world more dangerous, which it does. It makes the people in Iran and Iraq to seek a route to freedom. You see, this whole incident of him going into that embassy, that's because after these WikiLeaks things come out, we conducted more airstrikes in Iraq and Syria against supposed Iranian rebels. So eventually you start killing people in Iraq, and this guy was the one that was helped clearing out ISIS in Iraq. They're going to go take stuff over and say, hey, that's enough. You've killed enough of our civilians this week. We thought things were getting better. They're never going to get better. Okay? You know why? Because you have an imperial force in there. That's why. You won't let them do that. Do their own thing. All right? And this is a big deal, man. People were crying on national television that this guy was killed. I get that we have our own little Western perspective out there, but people need to realize you don't just do this and come out like you're a hero. Like Trump's now saying, I don't want war. I did this to prevent war. Did you? Did you really? Is this preventing anything? This is escalating things. And remember, these plans were days ago. Didn't just happen yesterday. Okay? And certain people knew he's part of the deep state now, whether he likes it or not. Because Pompeo here, see this? Pompeo, I can't even believe it. There was a reason I went to Snopes when I saw this, because I've played the video many, many times. But the fact that Snopes even has an article, okay, and you've got to get what's true. Yes, of course he said, I ran the CIA, and we lied, we cheated, we stole. We're going to play the clip in a second. But they try to make it out like because Russia Today, RT, was the only network to highlight this. This isn't something you saw on the news and CNN. This wasn't a controversy in the United States at all. That he said this at a Texas A&M thing. So what? So what? RT is the only one to put the clip out there, other than they were the one to highlight it. You can watch the whole thing here. We're going to play it right now. Look at this man. And here's another problem. I've been doing this a long time. This is why 9/11 still matters. Because our entire foreign and domestic policy is still based on that lie and our imperialism in the Middle East. Flick off, thank you so much. To answer your question from the last stream I missed, I'd love to see you work with David Icke on his new network. We'll see. Iconic. I actually am scheduled. I just got scheduled for an interview over there. But back to Pompeo. Okay? Pompeo is as establishment as it gets, man. He's it. He's part of the deep state. He's at Bilderberg cutting deals. Do you think that Jared Kushner, who is so pro-Israel and over the top, doesn't want, Western military forces in that region? They've been pushing forever, openly, even pre-9/11. And that's why I'll keep talking about this stuff. That's why there is a Saudi Arabian role in 9/11. That's why there is an Israeli role in 9/11. That's why there is a Central Intelligence Agency role in 9/11. Okay, so let's listen to what Mr. Pompeo has to say.
This way this is a bit of an aside, but in terms of how you think about problem sets, when I was a cadet, what's the cadet motto at West Point? You will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses.
Think about that. Now, remember, Snopes has to have an article about that because our media never covers it. Okay? This is our Secretary of State, the former head of the CIA, telling you we lied, we cheated, we stole, we had entire courses on it. What should disturb you even further on that is that people not only laughed, but they cheered. And they, as he told Moore, they were just happier and happier. That is the most ridiculous, brainwashed, sheep-like, chattel-like behavior of an audience ever. Ever. And if you think that they're just lying and cheating and stealing against Saudi Arabia or Middle Eastern nations, no. You, the public, us, we are the victims of this every day. Otherwise, Assange would be a free man. He wouldn't be being tortured right now in a prison in Belmarsh on a false indictment that Trump said he doesn't know much about, even though on the run up to the 2016, love the WikiLeaks. Can't get enough of those WikiLeaks. Look at that smile. He's number one. He's number one. And I'm sorry if people don't want to touch this, but I'm going to keep touching it. And this is why, I throw my weight behind Tulsi Gabbard a lot. End Trump's wars now. Remove our troops from Iraq and Syria 100%. They're not Trump's wars. They're Trump's wars now. But I'll tell you what. You escalate up to that real war with Iran, that's going to be your legacy no matter what. It won't be the stock market, okay? It won't be a border wall that doesn't happen. That's not going to be it. It's not going to be any of those things, Trump. It won't be that you got us out of the climate, the Paris Accords. None of that. No. It will be that you helped to escalate this imperial war in the Middle East, and you would further the plans of a track, trace, database, New World Order society on behalf of a technocratic, and it's not really a technocracy, folks. It's a technopoly, predator class. That's what you are, man. You end up just being a puppet. That's it. Period. You're escalating things. You're not de-escalating things. This was insane to kill that guy. Insane. And they identified him by his ring. I know I've seen some things out there that are trying to claim that the picture of his ring, there's a different, not the actual jewel inside, but he's got a different band around it. I don't know if that's out there. I assume this guy is very dead. All right, they're crying on national TV. And I'm going to be, I've reached out again to people like Robbie Martin from MediaRoots.org that do great work, Patrick Henningsen that do great work, and others to talk about this. I'll probably get Tony Gosling on. Tony will maybe be on in the next couple days about what goes on. But we're going to be keeping up on this because we don't want more war. I want out of Syria. I want out of Iraq. All right? There's a $10 billion, we'll do that one live. It's not a good look when Blackwater is getting a new mercenary deal out there. And by the way, they're saying that those attacks were in retaliation of a contractor that was killed there. So Blackwater, $10 billion. I think that's out of Wired. Yes. So they're winning a piece of a $10 billion deal. We're sending 4,000 more troops into that region. I don't know if I have that one up here, but we're going to bring it up. And you know what? A lot of people are asking me, well, why really escalate this? Is it really just the OPCW documents? Well, I'm sure it doesn't hurt that they also just found a new field with 53 billion barrels of oil. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. Like I said, man, when you're rolling with a guy like Pompeo, when you're as deep state as it gets, when you're just showing up to the Bilderberg meeting and C-SPAN's covering it, and I'm covering it, but others aren't, ask yourself what's really going on. Guys, I'm a documentary filmmaker. If you want to understand why I'm so irate right now, why we shouldn't be in the Middle East at all, Loose Change Final Cut and Fabled Enemies are a must-watch, and they're for free. They're right here in the documentaries playlist section, as well as Invincible Empire and Shade the Motion Picture. Listen, start with Fabled Enemies and go with Loose Change. Fabled Enemies is a little bit shorter. It will shock you, and Loose Change will shock you that much further. Start with FE, go to LC, okay? Thumbs this video up, subscribe, join the Burmist Brigade. Again, you know, we're struggling to get new subscribers here. We're trying to get to 40K, but check and make sure that you're subscribed. Hit those notifications. Ring that bell. I like to star right up here because we do several videos a day. And if you can financially support me, I have a GoFundMe. I'm going to put this link right now in the live chat, but it's already underneath in the description. $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. And I just watched a very disturbing interview on the Mac Life with Conor McGregor because he's not doing any actual press. The UFC doesn't want him to do any press because they're scared someone will ask him about the vicious sexual assault evidence that no one else seems to be talking about. But I am. And I need you to go to my Twitter and I need you to retweet this very, very graphic thread that is reality. Or go check it out yourself. I wouldn't just say these things. I know that my audience knows I wouldn't just say these things. But go check them out for yourself. Guys, we're going to keep up on these stories. I love you. It's not about left or right, conservative, liberal. All that's bullshit. We got a war machine, baby, and things are heating up. And we better cut it out. We better stand up and say absolutely not.